Good day, welcome back everybody. 14th of August 2023. It's about, I think it's about somewhere by 1 o'clock or something. And I thought I would do a video a little bit more sort of a touristy type of thing, at least show you around instead of just talking about a lot of politics. And lately it's been some not very fun topics, you know, about what's going on with children and all that sort of thing. So I have to be a little bit lighter on you now. And a couple things here. Actually, I was going, this is Partizansky area. It's not Partizansky Platz or Plocha Partizansky, but it's in the area of that shopping mall. And it's an old kind of a Soviet shopping mall. But also right up here, I was going to show you this. There's a mural here. And I don't know how well you can see this. The light is not so great. It's kind of backlighting. Lots of little tiles here. I've seen another mural just like this. Similar colors of tiles and all that. And although the theme is a lot different, it's not like these faces here, which, let's see if I can try to figure that out, which I can't. This is, looks like some old time sort of a deal, like from Middle Ages sort of clothing or something, and what they're wearing. At least the head there, and then somebody looks like I don't know, it's not going to interest you anyway. It's like somebody was probably killed on a horse, or I don't know, no big deal. So I don't know about all the intricacies of the history of Belarus anyway. But also in this area I saw something, and I don't know if any of you can help me out here. So what is this? It looks, I was thinking this looks like citrus, but you get close, it looks a little bit more like apples, but it's they don't look like apple leaves. It almost looks like guava leaves, but what is this fruit? I don't even know if it's edible, but it looks like they turn yellow, obviously. It looks sort of like, the fruit looks like an apple. And here's a green one, probably the same fruit. I don't think there are mixed fruits here. I think it's just one fruit type. It bears quite a bit, so if you can help me out on that one. I was growing mostly tree crops in the Caribbean, which is a tropical area, and I'm not really any longer familiar with fruits from the temperate areas. So I grew coffee and avocado and a little bit of mango and other things that you never heard of or you're not that familiar with, soursop and borojo, and some bush crops, cocona. Looks a little bit like that. But anyhow, let me go around a little bit here. It's kind of an interesting area because some of these things look like they're from Soviet times, such as even the entry here to the metro, at least this one here. Looks like some sort of a 1980 built metro. And then there's a building over here also, looks similar. I think when I came in I saw some old cars here. I don't know. Yeah, there they are. Now in Germany they have an old car that they made in, not in Wartburg. There's a place called Eisenach, and they used to make a car model called Wartburg. But I don't know where there's a different type which was more popular, was called Trabant, and a lot of the Germans called them Stinkers because they think it has a two-stroke motor, produced a lot of smoke, and they kind of stank, but they look like similar size as these ones. I believe these are some old Soviet models here. Some rust down there. Let's see if there's any indication. Oh, this is an old Lada. This might be a newer, also not a new Lada. I think this is a Lada as well, but just a lot newer. A lot of variety of different cars here. Even Chinese cars. You might not see these in the States, but here's a Chinese car. And here's also an old Lada. I don't know, it's a testament to these cars because they're still running, these old Ladas. So they're not like what you think they are. But anyway, I think this is probably some game place. I don't think it's a casino, but it's also some old... it's not my type of place. Spend enough money doing everything, and I don't want to go in some place where it's purposely designed for you to go in and spend money. But one thing that what I really like here, and I wanted to show you, because I remembered that there's an area somewhere in this, well, a forest somewhere in this area, and it is of course right here. It's a great forest, and of course with the name of this area, and the main street is Partizansky Prospect, and that was Partizansky Platz over there. I actually changed direction. I didn't want to be walking along with this guy. Seemed to have been timing his steps the way it'd be the same time as mine. But I wanted to mostly show you this forest here. It looks so fantastic. It's all evergreen trees, pine of some sorts. And I believe it's very big. I love forests. I might want to go through here, but I'll take you through here. I don't know if any of you guys are liking forests so much as I do, but I'll talk about some news a little bit, and I'll walk through this forest. So looks like some other people coming out. They like to go for that walk too. You can see them. Looks like a paved path here. Anyway, this goes down quite a ways. I think this is kind of a narrow part of it. So there's a street up that way, but I don't know if this has anything to do with this. It's not so big like the partisans. When they were resisting the Nazis, Belarus still has a lot of forests. I believe a major part of the country is covered with forest. And of course, that's where the partisans hid, men and women. And it's a little bit sort of like you would think Robin Hoodish type of resistance, and hiding in, it's not Sherwood Forest, but in these forests. I'll show you a little bit. That's interesting. Look here, a lot of underbrush. I'll take a little walk over that way and I'll talk some news. I don't think this is going to be a really long video, but didn't want to talk so much about news. A lot of things that are going on is, one thing was this evacuation. And I remember Jackson Hinkle was talking a lot about this. I think he did 2 videos, and it was something put out, I think it was definitely by Ukraine, and they were saying they're evacuating a big area, huge area around Kupiansk or something. And from what I heard, the real thing is there was no real evacuation. That was not an evacuation. As you know, as the definition goes. I'm not talking about your colon. I'm talking about evacuating people, EVAC mission. But so what they actually did, and when I saw some of these numbers, and I thought in a couple different reports, the amount of people that were evacuated was less than 300, and none of them were men. Men were not allowed to be evacuated. Apparently no men. I don't know. What are you, 70 years old and they left you there? So that was actually the article that I read, the one that kind of got my attention a little bit more. They said it's not an evacuation, it was a mobilization. So what they did is they took over the houses. The soldiers moved into the houses. All the men were forced to stay there. And I don't know if they were given weapons or they were put into small units or who knows what, and told you have to fight the Russians when they come through here, because the Russians are, it seems kind of obvious, they have an offensive going in that way. So here we have some various paths. I came down one. Here's one I couldn't go. I can go this one, or I can take the forked road. Here's some other young people coming here for a walk. I think I'll take the road less traveled, the unpaved one. A partisan at heart, I guess is what I am. So, also, I saw some reports that there were really massive strikes in Odessa last night. But I only saw that in a few reports. I didn't hear about any kind of figures on what was destroyed or what wasn't. you might want to look up that yourself. It's very difficult, you know, finding some information and then getting accurate information. And some other people are a lot better at that than I am. I think, you know, they get better sources. Jackson Hinkle gets some very good sources, and Alex Cristoforo and Alexander Makuris, of course. So, but sometimes I get some good things and they don't get it, so that's pretty good. Or sometimes I put something out and they don't put it out for 2-3 days. So I'm not so bad. No, these are good guys. I'm not trying to put anybody down or brag. So, oh, look at it. Lovely, lovely, lovely. I have to show you. Look at this. I see a cedar tree right in front up there. A couple of deciduous trees, a lot of evergreen. I'm pretty much assuming they're pine. Well, that's a lot. That's different pine varieties, different needles. I don't know my coniferous trees as well as I should. We had spruce and cedar where I grew up, lots of that. Matter of fact, some of the biggest cedar and the spruce in the world, oldest and big circumferent ones, and not the biggest trees because you had you know, redwoods or something are a lot bigger. But anyhow, let's continue with this stuff here. There were two Italian guys in Ukraine, and some of these recruiters are getting very overzealous, and they went to these recruiters went to an apartment building, and then they were, I guess this is some creative recruiting. So they went to an apartment building and were able to get information from the owner, or the manager at least, of what young men are living in this apartment building. And of course, if you're going to be renting an apartment, you have to give your name. They have to have the information about you. And this guy, this manager, owner, whatever he is, he gave the information to the recruiter. Turns out that these two guys are Italian. They don't have any Ukrainian passport. They're Italian. And you would think, oh, we made a mistake. Well, forget it. No, they are now in the Ukrainian military and have to be trained to go kill Russians, I guess, at the front line. I wonder what the government of Italy is going to say about this, you know? What am I going to say? I hope I don't get lost here. Actually, down this direction I'm going right now, I think the forest is quite long, so it's probably around a half a mile, so you're going to see me coming out of here like somebody on a Monty Python beginning, and a beard growing and asking for water or something. I don't know. So I'll show you a little bit more. Look at this. Some of these different trees here. Some other news, you know, I don't really find this stuff, you know, as any big important news. Anything put out by these politicians, I don't really put any stock in it sometimes, you know, as far as them like being honest or telling the truth, and especially some of these other people, these jokers, you know, they're just a bunch of jokers, and they've proven that over and over and over again. So, but it was Olaf Scholz this time, and he's coming out and says, we have to increase our efforts to get to a diplomatic solution of the Ukraine conflict. And there were some reporters there when he was saying this, and exactly at this same time, when they're sending these long-range 500-kilometer, I think it was mile or kilometer distance, long-range missiles, some pretty devastating missiles, and it's a big escalation of this conflict. And he's sending these missiles to Ukraine, and at the same time saying that they have to have a diplomatic solution. And some reporter was asking him about this contradiction, and I guess he had no answer. I can't remember what he said, apparently, but it was nothing. It was nothing that answered the question. You know how people are, you know, in these positions when they can't answer, you know, when they're doing some devious things and coming up with with a spin or something to say something else. Yeah. Wir wissen nicht. Das habe ich nicht gesagt. Das habe ich nicht gesagt. I don't know what he said. Wir erforschen diese Probleme und dann kommen wir zu einer Entscheidung irgendwann in der Zukunft, in der nahe Zukunft. I don't know. Anyway, here comes some guy here. I don't know, it looks like he's really fascinated with me talking here. It doesn't look like he's drunk, but he's just curious. He's got his eyes right on me. Maybe I should show it to you. See what you have to put up with here. Здравствуйте. Well, maybe he's just got a kink in his neck. Reminds me of a song. Got a hump in my back, I've been balling the jack. If you don't know that song, look up Jesse Fuller. Maybe he's still on, somebody from the 1950s played guitar and kazoo and things like that, blues music, really interesting. Got a hump in my back, I've been balling the jack. I think it's probably from a railroad song or something like that. He did some railroad sort of things, you know. Nice. Actually, that's not a cedar. I thought that was a cedar right here. The leaves, they fall, they drape like a cedar tree. Interesting. Okay, a little bit. I want to talk some, you know, because it really bothers me. I hear things, you know, like about Gonzalo Lira, and mainly what I want to say is some people are, you know, and it's kind of, I like Scott Ritter, but I, you know, I don't really like what he had to say about that. And on the other side, I would say that I remember when Gonzalo Lira was taken the first time by the SBU, or allegedly taken, and people were saying, and Scott Ritter, I think, was kind of taking the ball and running with it too, said, he's killed, they killed Gonzalo Lira, you know, and he never said at that time anything about Gonzalo Lira being any kind of a SBU spy or anything like that. And although it is kind of suspicious that they took him, sure, it sure is. I'm not going to refute some of these things, like that Scott Ritter said either. And nobody ever asked Gonzalo Lira what that was about. Why did they take you and then release you? I can guess. I can just guess. Like I said, I was guessing. He's a U.S. citizen, and the U.S. is their benefactor in this conflict. And he's got a family and children. He's an old guy. He's got a heart condition. He never took up arms. He never incited anybody to take up arms against Ukraine. So it's sort of like, you know, putting out some information like that. It's a little bit petty. So, you know, I'm just talking about why they released him. So that, you know, that is plausible to me. That is plausible. And then this time they got him again, and then they released him like at, I guess it was like weeks, maybe 3 weeks before he actually came out, when he was going across the border to Hungary. Whether he made it or not, I don't really even know. And, you know, people thought, oh, that's suspicious too. A lot of these things, they very well could be suspicious. But why don't we give Gonzalo Lira a chance to defend himself? I mean, if you're born and raised in the United States system, isn't that the way it's supposed to go? You give somebody a chance to defend themselves? So we're gonna be the judge, jury, and the executioner all in one time before the guy's even had a chance to open up his mouth? And if you've ever been the victim of somebody accusing you of something, and then you really and then everybody dogpiles on you and says, yeah, 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 you know, and you never even had a chance to open up your mouth for one thing. And then even if you do, the people don't like what you say, even though you know, because it's you, and you know that it's true. And nobody, I don't know, few people, maybe your own mother, you know, believes you or takes the evidence that you presented as anything important, and everybody else, you know. How many times does that happen? How many times have you seen that? So I'm just saying that. I'm not going to, because it's happened to me before. And so I'm not going to, you know, jump and be one of the hyenas and jump on Gonzalo Lira. So, and a lot of the things he said, I believe he was being very serious when he said these things. And then I'm trying to think, well, what would the SBU be using him for? You know, after he said all this stuff about Ukraine, now there's a very good chance that maybe he is compromised. Maybe they have his family, and maybe they want him to do certain things, because that's possible too. That's how these things happen. You know, I know this. I was in an intelligence battalion, and I wasn't involved in any kind of espionage sort of things. Not really. But I've seen how a lot of these things work, and I've seen how ruthless a lot of people can be. And then you should all know. I mean, all you subscribers, you're my subscribers, and a lot of you know more and have more experience and know how this stuff works better than I do. Dojako is one person. He's a subscriber, and he writes some things, amazing stuff that I think his father was in intelligence, and you know, and I've just been like around these people, you know, and seen a few things a little bit. You know, say you work with somebody, when you're working in some sort of a office, so let's say office, or at least in an environment, and there's some real big shots. So I'm talking real big shots. I'm not talking about a president. Well, sometimes having to do with the president of the United States, for example. And anyway, but some big shots. And then there's something that they don't like or feel threatened by or whatever. And then the person's there one day, and all of a sudden they're gone the next day. And it's kind of like, you don't even talk about them. You're not supposed to. It's just, oh, that person's gone. It's like, well, what happened? Oh, I don't know. You know, and just keep doing your job. That person's not there anymore. I'm not saying they killed him or anything, anybody like that. 99.9% chance they didn't. But anyway, they were kicked out and sent somewhere else. You know? And I've had some little things happen to me before too. Derogatory things, because, you know, something that they don't like. You know, I never was some backside kisser. But, yeah, again, say no more, say no more. It's not any big deal. And another thing, you know, they talk about regime change things, and people are talking about, oh, they're going to get rid of Zelensky because he's no more use anymore. But, you know, maybe the people in Ukraine might do that. I don't know about the U.S. Maybe they, you know, because Zelensky, he's got a lot of money. He's got more than Donald Trump. There's no doubt about that. That's undeniable. And then he's got all these assets. He's got how many? Who knows? Nobody knows how many homes this guy has. Mansions all over the place. I think he had. I knew that he had 2 in Florida, and I know he had others in the United States. So, you know, he had that big, nice one also in Crimea, and he gets them for practically nothing. I mean, geez, isn't that weird? How do they arrange that? Yeah, when you've ever worked with big shots and things like that, they do that. They do that. They have their ways to where they pay far less than anybody else would have to pay for things that are very valuable. So, and there's multiple ways on how they do that. They should wonder. They have a lot of money, but yet they pay less. That's how it goes. So, I don't know about them getting rid of Zelensky, because he's not that useful anymore, apparently. Maybe they give him a mop bucket and a mop. Just kidding. But You know, it's similar to if they ever got rid of, you know, they talk about, certainly that's huge in the air to get rid of Lukashenko. Lukashenko thinks for himself. They don't like that. Fantastic sort of a, if you want to, I don't know, in my opinion, a great leader. I like a leader like that who has this, I don't know, don't want to go into that a little more. Sounds a little bit like propaganda or something, but look at, for example, in Russia, you see Dmitry Medvedev would apparently be in second in line if they ever did anything to Putin. And Putin, in truth, is a big moderate. He's hugely moderate. You know, how many chances does he always give to the West to stop or back out, or he gives them these different ways out of getting out of things honorably? And I think to a large extent what's going on is in Russia, they are Dmitry Medvedev and Putin, and I think I've heard somebody else say this, probably all of you will say that this is very obvious, but they're playing like good cop, bad cop. And just think about it. Medvedev, maybe he just tries to make it sound like he's really like a war hawk, like a really big war hawk. And a lot of the stuff he says is really true, and the sentiments of the Russian people, actually, most of them are right along with that. So, but I think it's a message to the United States, you know, who does a lot of these regime changes, that if you get rid of old Vladimir Putin, you just might get somebody worse, somebody a little bit more destructive. So that's about all I want to say about that. Niger, nobody really knows what's going to be going on there. You know, first they say they're going to attack, then they say they're not. Really makes you wonder. Obviously, I would like to say collective West, but mostly France and the United States, obviously they're trying to figure out a way to use these other West African states to be the bad guys and go in there and start a war. And I don't think Niger has the military to withstand that, even though these other nations are not really that powerful. Whether Wagner is there, I don't know. I don't think Wagner has the power that they used to have, but then again, I'll tell you what, if they're any kind of a threat here in Belarus, and I don't know how well schooled these people are, they would have to go to a different type of tactics. They have to be more like guerrilla tactics, because they apparently don't have this big artillery anymore that they used to have, and a lot of support. But who knows? I tell you what, if Poland really does start to get some designs, but I think they'd be incredibly stupid. I don't think they're that incredibly cowardly and stupid, like I said the last time. They would have to be the biggest stupid cowards to be doing anything, you know, to Belarus. But wait a minute. If they attack, that shows that they're brave. No, it doesn't, because they're not going to die. They're sending all their people to die. Look at what's going on in Ukraine. I mean, everybody knows. You all see what I'm getting at there. And a lot of these people, these big elites, political elites and all that, a lot of them have an ideology, whether it be a neocon or neoliberal or neo-nasty Nazis. You know, they're there for their ideology, you know, to be tough, to be imperialistic, you know, and they're there for a lot of time for appearances. The Ukraine may be more into their appearances than they are, or than the neocons are, to look like they're really tough people. You know, the neocons, you know, even when they're going to definitely lose, they keep on going. So until they find a way to make it look like they're won, you guys know that. Neoliberals, a little bit of a different twist on those kind of people, you know, like Obama type of thing. But and the neo-nasties, you know, pretty obvious. Reminds me of I always think of Monty Python skits whenever I look at these guys. What's that one where they have this knight? I can still fight, and he gets his arm cut off. He gets both of his arms cut off and says, "Come on, are you chicken? Come on, I can still fight." You know, here they're definitely defeated by the Russians. Everybody sees that. The state is in jeopardy now. And the population, and like I said, I put out something the other day, and I was saying that that there was like no men are going to be allowed. They're thinking about that, but of course they even have that to a large extent already implicated, or they already have that going in their society, that men can't leave. And but I think right now they're saying anything from the age of, what was it, 16 to 20 or 18 or whatever, I can't leave. But in truth, it's actually a lot more than that. And they're even getting these governments from foreign countries to send them back to Ukraine. And I think there's something on Telegram, and they showed these Ukrainian men dressed as women, and I don't know if they're acting like they've been transitioned, had a sex change or whatever, you know, because that's one of the big agendas in the world, is to change your gender, or make it look like you're trying to change your gender. If that's even possible, I don't know, but at least they think so. You know, if you have a higher status now in the Western society, if you're a homosexual or a lesbian, or even better, if you've had had your sex organs whacked off or something, then you're really respected. So what a crazy world, what a crazy society. Well, that's how they're working over there. They're not working like that here. I don't know, I prefer it how they do things here. You know, but different strokes for different folks. And that's pretty much all I'm going to say. You know, I hope you enjoyed this. There's some I didn't even know this, but there's some funny kind of art stuff here. I'll walk over here first, show you this. I'm on Partizansky Platz right now. These partisans, this partisan country. So I'll go a little faster here, and I'll show you this from the back here. That is the back. I don't know what it is. I guess this is some sort of a modern art. Let's see what this is. Maybe you'll have to tell me. Looks like some hands. Looks like a fist. Somebody holding a cross. It's a hand holding a cross. It's probably some Soviet artwork that I never saw before. I never really got into here. There's something else over there. I have no idea what that is either. And here's something. Guess I'm allowed to walk here. Looks like the head shrinker got to this lady. Looks like she lost one eye too. And she got some wings. Not the faintest idea on what that means. Anyway, this is that mall. This is the Belarusi Mall. Soviet-built mall. Different floors. Nevertheless, some of the same firms that are in this one and the other one. I've been here before. I think I've made one, maybe even two videos from this area already. I'm not even sure myself. Look at this. You might think you're in Paris. Some glass pyramid. Oh no, Spanish people. Maybe I could communicate with them. They might know English. Anyway. Uno, duo, tres, cuatro. Maybe they're Italian. I don't know. Maybe I don't know the difference between Italian and Spanish. So this is the old Soviet mall here. Strange kind of mall. Up, goes up. I go up escalators. But that's about all I have to say for today, and this was a little bit more of a show you around type video rather than news. I put out some news, sure, but I hope you enjoyed it. And yes, in the coming weeks, things will be a little bit different. I was hoping to go a few other places. Who knows? Maybe I can do that before August is up. But anyway, thanks again for joining me, and I'll see you for the next one. Bye-bye.